Have you ever loved someone so completely, so blindly that you ignored every single red flag? Have you ever trusted someone so deeply that the very idea of betrayal felt impossible? This is Claire's story. To everyone on the outside, Claire and David were perfect, the kind of couple neighbors admired, the kind of family people envied. They had a beautiful home in the suburbs, 2 wonderful children, and a marriage that looked solid. At dinner parties, David always pulled out chairs for Claire, poured her wine, kissed her forehead in front of everyone. He was charming, successful, and convincing. People would say, "Claire, you're so lucky. David is such a good man." And Claire believed it. She believed it for 10 years. But the truth? The truth was hiding in silence. It was hiding in shadows, in locked doors, in the places she wasn't supposed to look. At first, the signs were small. David started coming home late. He'd say things like, "Traffic was bad," or "Work ran longer than expected." He started going on more business trips too, sometimes at the very last minute. When Claire asked questions, he laughed softly, kissed her hand and said, "You worry too much." And maybe she did. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to hold on to the image of the man who once looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. But slowly, doubt began to eat at her heart. One night, David left his phone on the kitchen counter. The screen lit up with a notification, but before Claire could reach it, he snatched it up and said, "Work stuff. Don't stress." His tone was calm, but his eyes looked different. That night, Claire lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why her husband had started guarding his phone like a treasure chest. Weeks passed, and one detail kept gnawing at her. The locked basement room. Every time she asked about it, David brushed it off. Old work files, junk, nothing important. But the more he dismissed it, the more her curiosity burned. Why lock a room for nothing important? Why carry the key everywhere, even when he slept? One evening, while David was away on another so-called business trip, Claire found herself pacing the hallway. The house was silent, the children asleep. Her eyes fell on the basement door. For a long moment, she stood frozen, battling with herself. And then, she went to his study. She opened drawers, shifted papers, until finally, in the very back of a small wooden box, she found it. A tiny brass key, old and worn. Her hand trembled as she held it, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. She told herself, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it really is just old files. But her instincts screamed otherwise. The key slid into the lock, and with a soft click, the door creaked open. What she saw made her blood run cold. The room was dark, lit only by a small lamp. The air smelled of dust and old secrets. And on the walls, photographs. Hundreds of them. Claire stepped inside, her breath shaking. Every photo was of the same woman, a woman she didn't know. In some pictures, the woman was smiling, her hair catching the sunlight. In others, she looked sad, even unaware she was being photographed. It felt obsessive. Wrong. Claire whispered to herself, "Who are you? Why are you here?" And then she saw the album. On an old desk sat a leather-bound wedding album. Claire picked it up with trembling hands. She opened it, and the world around her seemed to collapse. It was David, her husband, standing at an altar, sliding a ring onto the finger of the very same woman from the photos. A wedding kiss. A smiling bride in a white gown. Claire dropped the album, her knees giving out beneath her. Tears blurred her vision. 10 years? 10 years of trust, love, family, all shattered in an instant. David wasn't just lying. He wasn't just hiding something small. He was living an entirely different life. The days that followed were torture. When David came home, she acted normal. She smiled. She laughed. She kissed him goodnight. But every time she looked at him, her chest tightened with rage. Every time he touched her hand, she pulled away, hiding behind excuses. But Claire wasn't done. She couldn't be. She started investigating, quietly, secretly. She checked his phone when he left it charging. She studied his bank accounts. She followed him once when he claimed he had an overnight meeting. And what she discovered tore her apart all over again. It wasn't just another woman. It wasn't just another marriage. It was another family. David had a child, a little boy with brown hair and the same dimpled smile David had. Pictures of birthdays, school events, trips to the zoo. And all the while, Claire had been home, raising their children, believing he was working late. Every lie suddenly made sense. Every overtime, every trip, every mysterious expense. It wasn't work. It was her husband. living a second life. Claire couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling at night, her heart racing, her mind screaming. She couldn't eat. Every bite felt heavy with betrayal, and she couldn't look at her children without feeling the weight of their innocence. The fear of what the truth would do to them. Finally, one night, she confronted him. David walked through the door, smiling, setting his briefcase down. "How was your day, love?" he asked. Claire's hands shook as she held up the photographs. Her voice cracked. "Who is she, David? Who is she?" His face drained of color. He stammered, "Claire, it's not what you think." But she threw the wedding album onto the table. "Not what I think," she cried. "You married her! You stood at an altar with her. You built a family with her." David's eyes filled with tears. He dropped to his knees, begging, "It's complicated, Claire. Please, listen to me. I love you. You and the kids are my world. The other woman, she means nothing." Claire's voice shook with fury. "Nothing? You call a child nothing?" David's silence was louder than any confession. His tears fell, his excuses died on his lips. In that moment, Claire realized the truth. The man she had loved, trusted, devoted her life to, was a stranger. And now she stood at a crossroads. She could destroy him, expose everything, tear his double life apart, make sure everyone knew what kind of man he was. Or she could protect her children, walk away quietly, and carry the unbearable weight of betrayal alone. Claire sat on her bed that night, staring at the wedding album in her lap. Her tears fell onto the pages, blurring the smiling faces. She whispered to herself, "How do you move on from this? How do you ever trust again?" Her world was shattered. Her heart was broken. And yet her children needed her. They were innocent, unaware that their father had betrayed them too. So she asked herself the question I now ask you. If you were Claire, what would you do? Would you expose him, burn his world to ashes, and let everyone see the truth? Or would you protect your children, sacrifice your happiness, and walk away silently, carrying a truth too heavy for one heart to hold? This was Claire's story, but tomorrow, it could be yours. Because sometimes, the person you love the most, the person you trust the most, is the one hiding a life you never even knew existed.